Welcome back to the KDPG Sunday edition. This morning we're talking about how to grow Pittsburgh as far as it concerns the Pittsburgh technology community. Our guests this morning are Audrey Russo, who is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Pittsburgh Technology Council, and Brian Kennedy is the Senior Vice President of Operations and Government Affairs. And Keith Burris, the Executive Editor of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, is here with us again for this morning's discussion. We were talking about, just before we went to the break, about how the talent here can then lead to new corporations or businesses or technology firms. Can you get into that a little bit?
When you're talking about entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
I think that's what you were talking about before we took the
Well,
break.
we were talking about a lot of things. So, you know, if we want to just start and talk about entrepreneurship, I mean, the kind of talent that we have here that are going to many of these universities are actually working on intellectual property. And that intellectual property is sitting inside of research, hopefully makes its way to the real world so that you and I and other people can sort of leverage this commercially. The kind of people that, you know, create those kinds of things usually come out of engineering, science, technology, biomedical research. The big, large companies, typically companies who have been around for 40 to 50 years, they're really working on, they don't create as much job growth as new small companies do. Small companies create the new world. Large companies are looking for optimizations and efficiencies. And very often with innovation and technology, their work, you start to see that they operate on a leaner.
So if we have the talent here, or you have to bring it in, when they have the new firm, the entrepreneurship, is it tough to get the talent here to join into one of these new firms, or are they looking to go to an established one?
It's, you know, it's this interesting dichotomy, right? When you look at Pittsburgh, the reason we have so many great companies moving here is because of the talent. When you get here, recruiting talent is really, really a challenge. There are a group of people who feel very comfortable working for large corporations and the comfort and the amenities that they offer, but there are a whole group of other people who love the excitement, the range of activities that you're going to get in a startup company. And so, you know, it really depends on kind of what your personal makeup is, but everyone in Pittsburgh is having a challenge recruiting talent. This is a core, probably the single biggest challenge facing the growth of the region.
What's the negative on getting the talent to come here?
Well, we're competing globally.
Okay,
so we're
competition
competing globally. So everyone is looking for high-skilled talent, people who can solve complex problems. Is at a race. It's you know, it's the talent race, and if we can get people here who can work in all these companies that we talked about earlier, they usually stay because they see that it used to be that you came and worked for one company and you looked around and there was no other opportunities. Now you come and you can see that there's an array of opportunities for you. And that has shifted because people come in pairs. And it's really important that when people come in pairs that there's opportunities for them as well. So it isn't just a one company town and you're here and then if something doesn't happen, you leave.
Trying to recruit talent, are we trying to get it from Boston or Silicon Valley? Where are we trying to get the talent?
Well, if you just look at the statistics in terms of where our people are coming from that move here, the biggest areas are from the Washington, D.C., Baltimore, New York corridor. That's where we get, when you get by the data and see who's moving from where, that's where they're coming from. And that's great because there are quite a few Pittsburghers who've moved to those areas over the last couple decades, who've worked for some amazing companies, gotten some great management experience, and those are the kind of folks that can come back here and help us build companies. Of course, we do need to sometimes recruit, and we compete against the Silicon Valley, but the reality is we're doing quite well.
With Amazon building in the D.C. area, is that going to be an issue for getting that talent to come back here?
So, well, if we have high-speed rail, maybe. You know, I mean, the point is that it's a setup that they're building over there. It's a campus setup. It's a different kind of setup than moving into an urban core. And it really depends upon what kinds of jobs they are, where the other opportunities are. Because again, if it's just a campus setup and you're insulated and you know you have to create sort of these new suburban communities, it's going to be tricky. Pittsburgh has been building an urban core and an Allegheny County core that represents a lot of amenities. Whereas, you know, and listen, Amazon could probably do that. You know, we could speculate that it could be amazing and it's going to be a new world city, et cetera. But Amazon cares about having the right talent to work on the right problems that are coming around the bend for them. So, and you and I might not even know what that looks like, okay? We can speculate, but we don't even know what that looks like.
So it sounds like we're doing most of what we should be doing. Is there something that we're missing that?
Well, the things in terms of what we're missing, and it's a competitive world, right? So, we have great initiatives at the airport, but it's really important for people to fly. Important for people to be on those planes and flying. It's really economics 101. I mean, there's got to be the demand and people have to participate. We have great leadership now on the ground in terms of the Port Authority. She's really working hard to try to figure out what she's inherited and how we can move that forward. Ground transportation is really critical to us. Making it, a lot of people don't want to own a car anymore. So, we have to behave and understand that that's really important. And not everyone wants to have a car.
So transportation, we could do a little better than.
Right, and then we have, traffic congestion. We've been rated, one of the top 5 to 10 cities in terms of traffic. And people are like, how can that be? How can our traffic be? Well, if you've sat on the Parkway, in the morning and you're trying to get in, it is tricky, and there's no real ground opportunities that runs in a fluid way for people to be able to move across. People want to do that.
Which is, to me, it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. Which comes first, getting the people here and doing
we work in parallel. We just work in parallel. I think that's what's really important. We got to work in parallel because we got to create that demand. We can't wait. You can't build something and wait for people to come. The world is moving faster than ever before. So the plates that we have spinning right now are really important.
What kind of things, I think you kind of hinted on this, do the people who are coming here demand? I mean, they're not sitting there saying, I'm not coming unless you give me this, but what are their preferences? What are their preferences?
Right.
What are their demands of a city that they want to live in?
Well, I mean, if you talk about how the tech sector is being changed by the people that work for them, internally, they're demanding the companies to be more inclusive, more diverse. They want to work with people who are different from them, from different places from them, and with different perspectives. They want to see sustainability as part of your operations. They want to see sustainability as part of our public policy. They care a lot about changes in federal immigration policy, for example, that make it really hard for us. We have this gold mine of people at Carnegie Mellon, these students from around the world, and the United States is making these barriers around keeping those people here and allowing them to start businesses. So the people who work for these companies, they're demanding social responsibility, they're demanding diversity, and they're changing. I mean, they're changing the companies they work for, and they're changing the communities that they live in.
And they're also demanding transportation, direct flights, and they also care about the schools. They care about that, and I think that's why the city, it's really important in terms of the urban core. People don't want to experiment with their kids, right? They don't. So that's why you're seeing a lot of diversity in the North Hills and in the South Hills because of the schools.
You asked this before during the break as to where people are concentrating.
Yeah,
where
the North Hills. You can see the migration patterns. It just goes right to the North Hills. So the North Hills can be anywhere from Wexford to even Fox Chapel, and then people moving, south, where those schools are highly rated. Those schools are highly rated, and believe it or not, in the North Hills, there's a lot of diversity. The representation of diversity is quite strong up there. And the decision is because they know that the schools have incredible reputations, and people don't want to either A, pay for private school, we have great private schools here, or they don't want to experiment with their kids in, the city schools, as the city schools are trying to reposition themselves.
You said a little bit ago that the people come, a lot of times come in pairs, and that it's required almost that there's something for the significant other to be able to do. How does that happen here in a city? I mean, how you can't just go to the Post-Gazette or the KDKA and say, we need you guys to create a couple of jobs.
No, but what we do, we actually get requests. I was just on a call with Carnegie Mellon trying to figure out a program for that how we can help them in their talent attraction as they bring faculty. And we just finished talking about that so that maybe we can build some infrastructure that gets people so that they get well connected. In sort of a guerrilla way, we do that at the Tech Council. We will get calls and we'll say, oh, Brian came with his wife and his wife is interested in X, Y, and Z. Who do you know? And we'll work we'll
Try to
work
find that.
really hard to try to find that. We're not going to ask you to create jobs, but we actually are looking how to network.
We only have about 45, 30 seconds left, so very quick for both of you. Where do you see Pittsburgh technology, let's say in 5 years from now? Because it's changed so much in the last 5 years.
Well, it's changed so much in the last 3 years, so your time frame has
Okay.
to be shrunk. So I see that we're going to have every company that's like in the top 10 on the NASDAQ have a flag here in Pittsburgh.
All right.
Wow,
Brian,
it's amazing.
Audrey, thank you so much for
Thank
being with
you
us
so much.
on the KDPG Sunday edition. Keith and I'll be back with some final thoughts in just a moment.